Okay, will you grab me the coverall, big one? Yep. Okay, so we're gonna assume Kyle's got an issue with he's saying my knee hurts. He's telling you, let me put this underneath you again. Yep. He's telling you my anterior knee hurts. It's killing me right here. Your job is you want to offload the patella tendon and or the fat pads, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to measure what we need for the leg. You saw I just took this right off the box. I kind of guessed how many squares I would need. I'm going to cover a little bit of the distal pole of the patella. It's right here. Okay, but the main thing I'm going to tape is the tendon. So I need to make sure my tendon is under that coverall when I put it down. We're going to create our unload strips like I taught you last week. Okay, now this, we want to create a kind of like a gradient of strips in terms of length. So I'm going to do a couple shorties, going to get a couple medium lengths, a couple longer lengths, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, I would have sprayed because he's going in the game. Okay, if it's a hot and humid day, I'm going to do a double spray because he might not let me wrap this around his leg. So I got to make sure this is going to stay on. Okay, outline. I know where the patella is. My job is to get the tendon. You know the fat pads are going to be right in here. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to create made it a little long. Okay. So we're going to create a space around the tendon. I feel like it's a little far. Around the tendon that we're going to create an unload. Just going to make it a little closer. Okay? Now, you see how I'm not doing up and down perfectly vertical strips like the letter H, but I'm not creating like a V. I'm not connecting them. You see that? I'm sort of angling, kind of like the outside of a W. Do you see that? Because we want to create this gradient to capture the fat pads. All right, so we're going to start with our smaller strips. Lay the thumb down, pull here, lift, tug up, lay down. You start to see the wrinkling. This is when wrinkles are okay. It's during the unload. I'm going to take my slightly longer piece. Do you see how I accounted for the W, right? Because it's getting wider and wider, which means I need longer and longer strips. So I created those longer strips for myself. 50% overload. Here we go. 50% overload. I'm getting even longer with this strip now, because now I'm starting to hug the patella here. So it's almost like I'm going to come around it. Does that make sense? So you see how we've kind of puckered the little patella right there? One more, I think. See how I kind of like came around the patella on that one? Watch this. You see how I'm trying to hug underneath the patella? almost like that horseshoe I just created, right? This is what I'm trying to do with the tape here. So once I feel like it's enough, we've kind of see, we've got the patella right here really supported, almost like it's in a cradle, okay? We're then gonna lay down again our anchors to hold all my strips in place. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure he can still bend, so help me, and he can. And then likely he's going to not let me do anything more, and he's not going to let me wrap it. So I'm going to say, well, I don't want this to come off. And it just kind of looks a little neater. And depending on what sport he's in, if he comes into contact with somebody else, this could all just kind of fall apart. So we're going to cover all those really important strips. Okay, something like that, maybe a little cleaner to capture all of that. But this is how he can go out. Instead of you taking the pre-wrap and the light plast around. Now, if he's in a sport where he's like padded and football, or there's pads and who cares at that point? He's probably going to let me do whatever because it's going to be covered, okay? Or shin guards or anything here. We might want to just fully wrap it. Now, you don't have to wrap him like a thigh where it's so tight. It's just enough that this is not coming off. The other thing, if you're going to wrap, likely he's not going to let me cross his knee. So you're just going to wrap just below the knee here, and who cares if some stuff is pointing, it's kind of sticking out there.